President al-Assad asserts to Mr. Ibrahimi Syria's openness for any sincere efforts to find a political solution to the crisis on the basis of respecting Syria's national sovereignty and rejecting foreign intervention. A terrorist car bomb blast in Bab Touma Square in Damascus kills 10 citizens and wounds many others. The Lebanese people bury the body of victims who were killed in al-Ashrafiyya terrorist explosion amidst calls for avoiding the exploitation of the explosion for sinister political aims. Good afternoon, welcome to our news bulletin. I'm Dania Nizam. President Bashar al-Assad asserted that Syria supported the efforts of the international envoy al-Akhdar al-Ibrahimi and it is open to any sincere efforts to find a political solution of the crisis on the basis of respecting Syria's sovereignty and rejecting any foreign intervention. During his meeting with Mr. Ibrahimi, the President pointed out that any political initiative or process should be essentially based on the principle of ending terrorism and the commitment of those involved in supporting arming and the sheltering of terrorists in Syria to stop such actions. An explosive device was detonated by a terrorist group under a car in Bab Touma Square in Damascus. Sources in the Ministry of Interior mentioned to our reporter that the explosion resulted in the killing of 13 bypassing civilians and the injuring of 26 others. The source added that the explosion caused considerable material damage to the nearby houses and many parked cars in the location.
May God damn the terrorists who committed this crime. I came to my shop at 10:30 to see the victims. Women in the streets, bodies everywhere on the ground here and there. What have they done to deserve this? The Eid is coming. What is their sin? They are children, and there were buses carrying children to their schools. The tongue fails to describe this crime, and there are no words. I came from a church where I was praying, and it is so tragic that we reached this point of putting explosives in every square to kill the people. I don't know to what end we are heading to. I pray to God that He may plant wisdom in the people's hearts and make them understand that such crimes don't lead to a better Syria.
This area is civil. There are no army or security forces here. There are all civilians. Look. The bodies are all for women, children, school children. They are all civilians.
In Aleppo, a booby-trapped car driven by a suicidal terrorist exploded in front of the Syrian-French Hospital in al-Zohour street, injuring a number of passers-by and causing material damage to the hospital, the nearby cars and residential buildings. In the Damascus countryside, an explosive device planted by terrorists was detonated in the village of Neen, wounding several citizens and causing material damage in the nearby houses and shops. In the Homs countryside, a unit of our armed forces foiled attempts of infiltration to Syria by terrorist groups from Lebanon. In several locations in the countryside of Tel Kelach, the terrorists sustained heavy losses. Our armed forces clashed with those terrorists in El Ramel, El Masamik and Harmoush, scoring direct hits and forcing the rest of the terrorists to flee into Lebanon. Prime Minister Dr. Wael Halaqi stressed the importance of developing religious speeches to consolidate the culture of tolerance, coexistence and national unity. He asserted the importance of the role of religious clerics in enlarging the consciousness of citizens against the plots to instigate conflict among the Syrian people. During his meeting yesterday with the patriarchal representative of the Roman Orthodox Bishop Musa al-Khouri and other clerics, the Prime Minister pointed out that the government was trying to build reconciliation and to return security and stability to all areas. The Prime Minister stressed the important role of all religious clerics to show the real values of divine religions against all forms of violence and extremism, particularly in Syria, where minarets and churches stand side by side. He also pointed out that the government was exerting all efforts to preserve all the necessary supplies for all citizens. He called upon them to listen to the voice of right and of justice in order to enable the displaced people to return to their homes and to enjoy safety and security. The efforts exerted by the Reconciliation Committee in Homs led to the release of 14 people who were kidnapped by the armed terrorist groups. The committee affirmed determination to press ahead with exerting the utmost efforts to release all the kidnapped citizens and to restore the atmosphere of tolerance and love among all the people of the governorate. The Syrian community in Italy, as well as the Syrian students there, renewed their denunciation of the aggressive attacks led by the US and its allies against their motherland, Syria, and the terrorism Syria is facing by these armed terrorists due to their actions. The Syrian community in Italy stresses their rejection to any form of foreign interference in the Syrian internal affairs. In a sit-in in St. Maria Nuifila, in the Italian city Florence, the Syrian community stressed there is standing by the Syrian Arab army and people, as well as their need for importance to adhere to its unity against the terrorist attacks that it's facing, which is led by the US, Qatar and the Saudi regime, in addition to Turkey. The participants denounced in the framework of the international campaign in solidarity with Syria against the terrorism that is being carried out by the armed terrorist groups and the terrorists and the attack against the Grand Umayyad Mosque in Aleppo city, describing it as a criminal act against humanity. Syrian people in the expatriate states renewed their rejection of all forms of foreign interference in Syria's internal affairs. Members of the Syrian community in Venezuela organized a solidarity stand in front of the Syrian embassy in Caracas, expressing their complete solidarity with their motherland in confrontation of the conspiracy being hatched against it. The participants referred to the crucial role played by the Syrian Arab army in confronting terrorism and preserving Syria's stability. Dialogue and understanding remained the method encouraged by Iran to settle the crisis in Syria. This was the attitude expressed by President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who called on all parties in Syria to observe a ceasefire during Eid al-Adha. The Iranian president asserted that America and its European allies wanted to subjugate all countries. The West is using the nuclear issue as a pretext to exert pressure on Iran, which continues to affirm that its nuclear program is peaceful. Lebanon buried the body of General Wissam al-Hassan, chairman of the Information Department of the Forces of Internal Security, who died in the explosion of al-Ashrafiyya in eastern Beirut. General Michel Aoun, leader of the Union of Change and Reform, asserted that this assassination should not be exploited to become a reason of conflict among the Lebanese people. He pointed out that any escalation would be the responsibility of all those who attempt to exploit the current situation to instigate divisions among the Lebanese people. In Libya, 26 people were killed and 200 others were wounded in clashes in the city of Beni Walid, when armed militias loyal to the ruling authority in the city, and amidst the conflicting reports about the destiny of Khamis, son of Colonel Gaddafi. The official spokesman of the ruling conference in Libya announced the death of Khamis after his detention in Beni Walid. And now it's over to Vani with the economic news. For more information, you can visit our website, syriaonline.sy. God have mercy on all our martyrs, and God bless you all.